Hey everybody, it's Saturday, which means it's time for us to look at the hottest and coldest teams in the NHL. I do this every week on Saturdays. It's always really fun to look at who's playing well and who's not, and there are certainly some same teams on these lists from last week, but there are some newcomers as well on both of these lists. So before we begin, I just ask that you please hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Both of those things help out so much and are greatly appreciated. But let's get into it here, looking at the hottest and coldest teams currently in the NHL. I use record in last 10 games for this. Obviously, most teams haven't played 10 games yet, but as the season goes along, you'll start to see, it will be based more on the past couple of weeks as opposed to the entire season, obviously. But so far, we're still basing this off of how teams have played since the season has started. So let's take a look at the hottest teams first, because I like to start off on a good note. So here are our hottest teams in the NHL right now. Number 5, we have the Dallas Stars. Dallas has only played 4 games, which is why I have them at number 5, because they haven't played as much as everyone else. But they've won all 4 of those games, and they've got a nice 4-game win streak going here to start the season. They've come firing out of the gate on all cylinders, looking really, really solid. And, no complaints about the Dallas Stars' play so far. I know 2 of those games were against Detroit, but they've scored 7 goals in 2 out of their 4 games. They're still playing well defensively. They've had some low-scoring games in there as well. They got a win from Jake Ottinger, who's now the backup goaltender to Anton Khudobin with Ben Bishop out. They've looked really, really solid. Number 4, we have the Vegas Golden Knights, 5-1-1 to start the season. Obviously off to a great start. Now, they did lose their last game in a shootout to the St. Louis Blues, but still, to win 5 of your first 7 games and get a point out of 6 out of 7, that's just a great start for Vegas. Now, they are having some COVID issues now. Their second game against the Blues was postponed. Now, their 2 games against San Jose that were supposed to be coming up this week have been postponed. So, Vegas is having some COVID issues. It seems to be moving from the Central Division, which is now all back, to the West Division, starting with Vegas here. So, hopefully they can get back on the ice soon. But based on the way that they've played in their recent games and to start this season, 5-1-1 definitely gets you on the hottest teams list. Number 3, the Boston Bruins. Now, this is a new team because they did not start the season all that well, but they are now 5-1-1 after beating the Flyers twice and the Penguins twice. They've won 4 in a row. That's why I placed them 1 spot ahead of Vegas, because their win streak is a lot higher at 4. Boston has really turned it on over the past week and a half, and they've looked absolutely fantastic. Just finally looking like what the Boston Bruins are supposed to look like. And that is absolutely huge for them to really start rising in the standings and go up towards the top of the East Division. Number 2, the Toronto Maple Leafs. Toronto has been on fire to start this season. They also have a 4-game win streak. They're the first team to 7 wins in the NHL. They're 7-2-0 to start the year. They currently lead the NHL in points. Now, they've played 9 games, which some other teams have only played 6 or 7. So that's until the games even out, we don't know if they're legitimately the best team in the league, but they've been playing like it recently. They've been ripping off wins, and obviously it's a very, very good start. They have a legitimate case to be number 1 on this list as well, but there's a specific reason that I have another team at number 1, which we'll talk about when we get there. But there's absolutely no shame in the way Toronto has played so far. They have looked absolutely outstanding. And they needed it because this is a big year for that Leafs team to really try and become the team that they're expected to be, and not just make the playoffs and then lose in the first round, but actually be a top team in the league and make a playoff run. And that brings us to number 1, where I have the Montreal Canadiens. And now the reason I have the Montreal Canadiens at 1 over Toronto is because of that 0 sitting in the regulation loss column. Montreal has gotten at least a point in every single game they have played this season. They are 5-0-2. They have won their last 3 games, and they are playing outstanding hockey, absolutely outstanding hockey to start this season. Super impressed with the Canadiens, and they're just absolutely rolling right now. Not that Toronto isn't, but that 0 in the regulation loss column is huge. I mean, points are at a premium every single night in the NHL this year. With the shortened season and with every game within the division, points are so important, and Montreal has gotten at least 1 point out of every single game. That is absolutely massive, absolutely massive. So, really, really impressed with the Montreal Canadiens. They have looked phenomenal so far this year, and we'll see if they're able to carry that throughout the season. Now we have to move to the other side of the spectrum, the coldest teams in the league. These teams have not gotten off to good starts, as you can see by their records here. And at number 5, I have the Edmonton Oilers, who have dropped now to 3-6-0 to start the season, lost their last 2 games in regulation, and the Oilers are really, really struggling here to find a way to get points. They only have 3 wins in their first 9 games. That is not how Edmonton wanted to start the season. So it's been a really, really tough go for them, and they've got to get things turned around quickly because that North Division is extremely competitive. Number 4, we have the New York Rangers. Now, New York did win their last game, which was a huge, huge win for them, but they're still only 2-4-1 on the season. They only have a couple of wins. They've only gotten points in 3 out of 7 games. And again, for the Rangers, this was not how they wanted to start the year. They were supposed to be better than this. So hopefully they can build off that win in their last game and maybe put a little bit of a win streak together and try to get back, in with some more wins in the win column and back playing like the team like they were supposed to. But it has not been a quality start for the New York Rangers so far, unfortunately. Number 3, the Calgary Flames. Calgary started the season really well, actually. But lately it's been a real sharp nosedive off a cliff. They're 2-3-1 now on the year. Only a couple of wins. They've lost 3 straight. That's why I have them at number 3 and the Rangers at 4 because of the streak. L3 for the Flames over the last week or so. It's not been good. And after a decent start to the season where they were 2-0-1, it's been downhill from there for Calgary. So Calgary obviously hopes to be a playoff team this year. They're going to have to get things turned around. They're very frustrated right now. Matthew Tkachuk not handling it very well. They're just a team that needs to get things turned around. Because like I said with Edmonton, the North Division is so tough and so competitive that, you go through long losing streaks, or if you have a bad start to the season, you really have a big hole to try and dig yourself out of. So we'll see what Calgary can do, but right now they are ice cold. Number 2, we have the Detroit Red Wings. They only have 2 wins, already have played 8 games. They're 2-5-1. They lost their last game in regulation. It's just, I thought Detroit was going to be significantly better this year. They haven't looked it so far. They have in some games, and in some ways they're definitely better, but in the win column, not so much. And they've had some COVID issues as well, which has had players out of the lineup. They haven't had games postponed. They've just had to play without those players. So, for the Red Wings, it's obviously not the start that they wanted, but not necessarily completely unexpected either. And then at number 1, we have who has been the clear worst team in the NHL to start this season, the Ottawa Senators. They still only have 1 win through 8 games. They're the only team in the NHL left with only 1 win. They are 1-6-1. They've lost 5 in a row now, including 3 straight to the Vancouver Canucks. And it's been a tough go for the Senators to start this year. They're not getting a consistent effort. They're not getting the level of play that they were hoping from some of their young guys. It's just been a disaster of a season so far for Ottawa. Matt Murray in goal has been awful. and it's not all his fault, obviously, with that team in front of him, but he hasn't been good. It's been a disastrous start for the Senators. So 5 losses in a row, worst losing streak in the NHL right now, only 1 win in their first 8 games. The clear-cut coldest team in the NHL is the Ottawa Senators. So that's our hot and cold list. 5 hottest, 5 coldest teams in the league for this week. Obviously, we'll see if things change over the next week, and we'll probably have a different order and some new teams on and off the list by next Saturday. But at least for right now, that's what we're looking at for hottest and coldest teams. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please remember to like, comment, share, subscribe, follow on social media. All those links are in the description. If you'd like to further support the channel, the links to our Patreon merchandise store and donation link are down in the description as well. Keep spreading the word about this channel. Let's keep this thing growing. Thank you very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll talk to you guys soon.